I'm not saying it's necessarily not natural, but I'm saying, we should be prepared for a black swan event, meaning something that has a low probability, like this is alien technology, low probability. But if it happens to be alien technology because of the anomalies, it would have huge implications for humanity.
The warning signs begin without mercy. 3 days of XRISM observations, November 26 through 28, show a faint but impossible X-ray halo materializing around 3I Atlas, stretching nearly 400,000 kilometers across space. It appears out of nowhere, immense, bright, and horribly precise. Scientists freeze as the first frames arrive. This isn't dust. This isn't gas. This isn't anything they have ever seen wrapped around a comet. The signal refuses to behave like normal charge exchange reactions. Instead of fluctuating randomly with the solar wind, the glow pulses, slow, steady, rhythmic. Almost like a heartbeat, almost like it's responding to something. The timing is so clean that researchers stop their meetings mid-sentence. Something is driving these pulses. Something that is not the sun. Carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen signatures flash in strange, unnatural ratios. They do not match solar system comets. They do not match interstellar dust. They do not match anything in current astrophysical databases. It's as if the elements are arranging themselves, forming patterns too structured to be natural. Every replay of the spectrum deepens the silence in mission rooms. Then comes the detail no one wants to admit. The halo isn't a cloud. It's asymmetric, almost shaped, tilting in different directions at different times, toward the sun, then away from it, then outward into interstellar space. The glow looks like it's caught between two invisible forces, or listening to one. Teams begin checking solar wind data. That's when fear sets in. Tiny dips in solar wind density appear exactly when the X-ray halo brightens, as if the comet is somehow modifying the solar wind, not reacting to it. This is not passive emission. This is something active, something interacting with the heliosphere in real time. Even worse, the scale makes no sense. The halo is nearly the size of the Earth-Moon distance, far beyond any known outgassing zone. Nothing this large should exist around a comet. Nothing this active should appear this far from the sun. Every law of comet physics is collapsing in real time. Researchers search for any excuse: solar flare activity, coronal bursts, background noise. Nothing lines up. The sun was quiet. The detectors were functioning perfectly. The signals were real. As Earth moves toward the December 19th flyby, XRISM issues its most disturbing update yet. The halo is expanding faster than projected, much faster. At its current rate, the outer edge may even brush Earth's orbital path. Scientists have no model for what happens if a 1,000,000-kilometer X-ray envelope touches the magnetic flows that shield Earth. Could it disrupt satellites? Could it warp the magnetosphere? Could it trigger electromagnetic storms? No one knows. No one can even guess. What they do know is simple. The countdown has begun, and the next anomaly will be worse. The moment XRISM isolates the spectral data, the mood inside the control room shifts. Something is wrong. So wrong that the lead analyst stops mid-sentence. The comet is releasing carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen in ratios that should be impossible in open space. These lines don't form the usual smooth curves of normal comet outgassing. They slice upward in clean, razor-sharp peaks, like someone or something is sending bursts of coded information. Scientists scramble to compare the readings to galactic background noise. Maybe it's a detector glitch, maybe a calibration fault. But one by one, every explanation collapses. Earth's atmosphere ruled out. Instrument noise, no match. The Milky Way's diffuse background glow, completely inconsistent. The patterns stay locked to the comet alone, precise, structured, deliberate. Then the peaks begin to shift. Every few hours, the spectral lines slide slightly left or right as if adjusting themselves in response to something unseen. A solar wind fluctuation? No. A passing magnetic ripple? No. The timing is too perfect, too rhythmic. Nothing natural behaves like this. Researchers attempt to model the charge exchange reactions. Instead of answers, they hit walls. Entire sections of the equations break. Some values behave as if the solar wind is being overridden by a second force, a force that should not exist. One scientist, staring at the data until his hands shake, whispers, "This looks like a message written in elements." Another pushes her chair back and refuses to continue speculating at all. The deeper they dig, the stranger it becomes. The elemental ratios resemble controlled plasma experiments, high-energy lab results, not a wandering ice comet from deep interstellar space. That realization triggers a new question, one no one wants to voice. Is the comet reacting to something inside its coma rather than outside of it? And then XRISM captures something even more disturbing. Microflashes, tiny bursts of light blink inside the halo. They are bright enough to saturate short exposures, and when scientists chart their positions, they form geometry, evenly spaced, symmetrical, patterned, like points on a lattice, not random, not chaotic, organized. Solar wind turbulence cannot explain it. Electromagnetic noise cannot explain it. Nothing in known astrophysics produces synchronized flashes inside a gas cloud. A quiet alert spreads across NASA, ESA, and JAXA, an alert not meant for the public. The phrasing is cautious, but the implication is explosive. These emissions may be the result of internal structural processes. Some whisper machinery. Others whisper unknown chemistry. No one whispers natural. And as 3i Atlas races toward Earth, one terrifying truth settles over the scientific community. If these chemical signatures intensify, there will be no explanation ready, no model to rely on, no precedent to follow, just an interstellar object behaving in ways no comet ever has, and a world demanding answers that do not exist. And the next discovery will push the situation even further. The warning signs appear faster than anyone expects. In late-night briefings, scientists stare at fresh telemetry from XRISM and realize something is happening that goes far beyond normal comet behavior. The halo around 3Y Atlas, already an impossible 400,000 kilometers across, has begun accelerating in size. Not growing, accelerating. Every new measurement shows the radius swelling faster than the one before it, as though something inside the comet is pushing outward with intention, with force, with rhythm. Comets do not do this. Their halos expand predictably, governed by simple heat and wind from the sun. But this looks like an engine throttling up, a controlled burn, a system powering itself. The expansion pulses arrive in perfect sync with the strange chemical spikes detected earlier, each pulse lighting the halo with a brief X-ray surge before it expands again, wider, brighter, more organized. A junior researcher runs the projections again and again and again. The numbers refuse to change. If the trend holds, the halo will break 1 million kilometers by mid-December. A size so large that Earth's solar wind environment, the invisible river of charged particles wrapping around the planet, could be directly affected, not because the comet is close, but because its influence would be. Suddenly, The threat is no longer hypothetical. Even at a distance of 270 million kilometers, the outer edge of Atlas's X-ray envelope may overlap with the same streams of solar wind that feed into Earth's magnetosphere. And Earth has never been exposed to any object emitting controlled X-ray radiation at this scale. Inside Mission Control, silence takes over as worst-case scenarios appear on screens. Satellite disruptions, GPS drift, power grid instability, communications fading without warning, all triggered not by an impact but by interference, subtle shifts in electromagnetic pressure that ripple across space like invisible waves. Space agencies quietly begin drafting contingency plans, not because they understand the danger, but because they don't. And because the numbers keep rising. Governments have not been told. Not yet. A single leaked chart would ignite global panic. Instead, scientists work behind closed doors, arguing whether these disturbances might begin before the flyby, whether Atlas's growing field is already merging with the heliospheric flow that connects every planet in the system. Then a model appears on screen that freezes the entire room, a predicted solar wind tunneling effect. A scenario where the comet, through some unknown mechanism, redirects charged particles toward Earth like bending a river upstream. No one breathes, no one speaks, because no human has ever seen physics behave this way. And with each hour pulling closer to December 19th, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The window to prepare is closing. Fast. And what scientists discover next will turn the fear into something far more urgent. The 13 anomalies that scientists still cannot explain. The shock begins with a single message circulating through private astrophysics channels. Avi Loeb's list of 13 anomalies is no longer complete. XRISM's new readings may have just uncovered a 14th, one so strange it threatens to rewrite the entire framework scientists use to understand interstellar objects. Inside dim mission rooms, researchers stare at the growing list of broken rules. Every anomaly is a violation, a disruption, a quiet scream from physics itself. Something about 3I Atlas refuses to behave like a natural comet. The comet's trajectory, perfect on paper, keeps making microscopic, razor-precise adjustments as if correcting itself mid-flight. No random gas jets, no chaotic forces. These movements look intentional, and that is exactly what terrifies the scientists reviewing its coma, once thought to be normal dust and gas, is reflecting light with polarization angles no comet has ever produced. Instruments detect shifts that match neither solar scattering nor thermal models. Something within the object is bending, filtering, or redirecting sunlight in ways Earth's telescopes have never recorded. Then comes the tail. It behaves like it's partially shielded, as if some unseen barrier is altering how solar radiation strikes it. No natural mechanism explains this. Something is interfering with its exposure. But the most disturbing anomaly resurfaces again. The comet's perihelion produced no heat spike. Every comet should erupt, vaporize, brighten violently when grazing the sun's furnace. Atlas stayed cold, calm, controlled. Now, with the X-ray emissions surging, scientists begin whispering what none of them want to say out loud. What if all of these events aren't separate mysteries, but a single system at work? Patterns emerge, patterns no one expected. When XRISM overlays every recorded anomaly onto the comet's rotation cycle, the data lines up with chilling precision. Every anomaly, every micro-adjustment, every polarization shift, every suppressed heat signature occurs at the same repeating rotational phase. Not random, not chaotic, coordinated. Silence fills the next international call. No one wants to breathe the word forming in everyone's mind. Engineered. Yet no one can deny what the synchronization suggests. Agencies scramble to verify the rotation interval. Early numbers point to a cycle just under 4 hours, steady, repeating, unwavering. If confirmed, it would mean 3I Atlas is the first interstellar object ever recorded to show deliberate rotational modulation, something that would imply internal systems, internal energy management, or something far more advanced. Suddenly, the countdown to December 19th feels different. Not like a flyby, not like a scientific event, but like a deadline. Behind closed doors, experts drop the calm facade. This is now a global emergency, a race to decode the anomalies before the comet reaches its closest approach. Because if these patterns continue tightening, if the 14th anomaly reveals what they fear, the alert hits every major space agency at once. An urgent directive flashing across secured networks: lock every instrument onto 3I Atlas immediately. Within minutes, NASA, ESA, JAXA, ISRO, and even private observatories pivot their telescopes, abandoning scheduled research as a quiet global emergency takes shape. No one argues. No one hesitates. The tone inside these rooms is nothing like the excitement that surrounded Oumuamua years ago. This time, scientists whisper. This time, they look afraid. The XRISM report is the reason. Its X-ray readings, pulsing in unnatural rhythms, have triggered classified alerts across multiple agencies. The data doesn't resemble anything shaped by nature, and the deeper they look, the more disturbing it becomes. Hubble is ordered to increase imaging cadence, even though it risks burning through limited resources. ESA redirects its JUICE spacecraft off its planned route, an almost unthinkable sacrifice just to keep eyes on the comet from another angle. NASA switches stereo into high-frequency monitoring mode, forcing it to track the solar wind around Atlas second by second. And then comes the first real shock. Punch, still in its early deployment phase, detects faint disturbances rippling outward from the comet's direction, patterns that look eerily similar to shock waves. But there is no solar flare, no CME. Nothing in the sun's behavior that could explain these pulses. Something is moving through the heliospheric medium, shaping the charged particle flow as if the solar wind itself were being pushed aside. Inside mission control facilities, the atmosphere shifts from concern to dread. Scientists crowd around live telemetry screens, watching trajectories update in real time. Every new model grows darker. Every recalculation points toward the same unsettling truth. 3I Atlas is not drifting through space. It is interacting with space. Its behavior is too clean, too synchronized, too patterned to be random. The halo pulses at intervals. The spectral lines shift in coordinated sequences. The disturbances propagate outward with a rhythm that feels deliberate. A senior analyst at NASA finally says what no one wants to voice. Objects don't do this unless they're doing something. Governments are quickly briefed behind closed doors. Security agencies call emergency meetings. Military representatives demand explanations the scientists cannot give. For the first time, agencies begin preparing for a scenario they hoped would never come: forced public disclosure. If the anomalies intensify during flyby, the signals, the glow, or the disturbances may become visible enough for amateur astronomers to detect. If that happens, there will be no hiding it. A confidential memo circulates with one chilling line: If behavior escalates, containment of public awareness will not be possible. Outside these locked rooms, the world remains calm and unaware, but inside, every expert feels the same tightening fear. December 19th is coming, and 3i Atlas is changing faster than any model can predict, and as the instruments continue watching, something new begins to appear on the screen. The countdown has reached its final days, and 3i Atlas is no longer behaving like a comet. It is behaving like something alive. Every hour brings a new spike, a new shift, a new warning. The X-ray glow surrounding the object grows brighter, even though the solar wind has barely changed, as if the comet is drawing energy from a source no one can identify. In mission control rooms around the world, the tension is unmistakable. Scientists speak faster, screens refresh constantly, and no one dares to step away. Then the spectral lines begin to drift, slowly at first, then in sharp, deliberate jumps. It looks like the comet is tuning itself, adjusting some internal process as December 19th approaches. Its halo widens into the heliospheric flow, twisting the motion of charged particles in ways that violate every model of plasma physics. Tiny arcs of distortion ripple across solar wind maps. One researcher whispers the words no one wants to say out loud. This thing is preparing for something. But the real shock arrives without warning. XRISM records a sudden, violent rise in X-ray power, a 4-minute flash so intense it nearly saturates the detectors. Every graph on every monitor erupts upward at the exact same moment, and then silence. The glow collapses back to its previous level as if nothing happened. But when the data is compared with the comet's rotation, a terrifying truth emerges. The pulse was perfectly synchronized. This is no random burst, no chaotic release of energy. It is timed. It is controlled. Behind closed doors, scientists face the unthinkable. Some suggest the comet may be responding to something external, signals, forces, or conditions no one has detected yet. Others fear the opposite, that the comet itself is initiating a process that unfolds in steps, and December 19th might be the next step. Models are run again and again, but the outcomes refuse to converge. One scenario shows the massive X-ray halo collapsing inward, compressing like a lung before releasing a surge of energy. Another predicts a sudden outward discharge strong enough to alter solar wind flow across millions of kilometers. A third model ends with a blinking red label, Unresolved Energy Event. No one knows what that means, and no one wants to find out the hard way. Yet every hour, the same pattern becomes clearer. 3i Atlas is accelerating. Its anomalies are not spreading randomly. They are lining up, converging like pieces of a machine clicking into position. Its emissions rise with every rotation, following a pattern that looks more like a countdown than a natural cycle. And now December 19th is almost here. The world may be about to witness a cosmic event no human generation has ever seen. Something that could redefine science or shatter it entirely. Scientists gather in quiet rooms, eyes fixed on the ticking clock, asking the same question that echoes across every agency, every observatory, every lab. What happens next when the countdown reaches zero?